Hello everyone and welcome to this English lesson. Today we're going to be talking about conflict. I'm going to help you learn some English words and phrases that you can use if you're having a conversation about conflict. I want to be clear though that I'm going to be talking about personal conflicts. I'm not going to be talking about world conflict. There's a number of different categories of conflict. Today's English lesson will be about conflict between two people or three people or two groups of people. The kind of conflict you would have maybe at work or with a friend or maybe in your family. So little personal conflicts that people have with each other. So anyways, once again, welcome to this English lesson about conflict. I maybe should have made the title personal conflict, and we'll get started right now. I wanted to start by talking about a fight. In English, you will often hear that Joe and Jim had a fight, or Sally and Fred had a fight. In English, the word fight has two meanings. Most of the time, it means an argument. Sometimes it means that people actually hit each other. But most of the time, in a casual English conversation, if you say that someone had a fight, you mean that they were arguing. If I say I had a fight with a colleague at work, it doesn't mean we were punching each other at all. It means we were arguing. And it also is a verb. So you can have a fight, but you can fight with someone. You can have a fight with someone, or you can be fighting with someone. So you can use this word in a couple of different ways. You can say that some people are having a fight, or you can say that they are fighting. By the way, this lesson will be a lot of slides of people fighting with each other. A lot of slides, a lot of the pictures will be pictures of people arguing. It's not a fun lesson, but I think it's an important lesson. So hopefully the images don't overwhelm you. So then again, we have an argument. If I was to define an argument specifically, I would say that it is when two people think different things about the same topic. A great example is the glass half full, glass half empty argument. Some people think that when you see a glass like this, that it's half full. Some people would argue that it's half empty. So an argument usually happens when people have a difference of opinion, when people have a different opinion than someone else. And again, you can have an argument. You can also argue with someone. So you could say, oh, Joe and me had an argument. We argued all day. So it can be used as a noun or a verb. And you could also, again, just use the word to fight as well. There's another argument too about which way you should hang the roll of toilet paper in the bathroom. So when you say disagreement, it basically means that you don't think the same thing about something. These two boys are having a disagreement. I think they each think they own the teddy bear. So they are having a disagreement. They are trying to pull the teddy bear because they think it belongs to them. So the one boy thinks it's his, the other boy thinks it's his, and they are having a disagreement. You can see they're not talking, so they're not having an argument, but we would use the word fight here as well. We could say they're fighting over the teddy bear. Sometimes you have what's called a controversy. A controversy is usually a more formal way to describe two people or groups of people that think differently about something. Many times in sports, you'll have controversies. There will be a play on the field, and the referee will make a call, and half of the people won't agree with it. The other half of the people are quite happy because their team benefited from the call. And then you could have a controversy after that because when you watch the replay, you can see the ref was wrong, and then you have a controversy. So a controversy is a more formal disagreement or argument about something. So usually you have controversy at work, or there could be some controversy about something the government did. So it's a more formal way to describe a conflict. Sometimes people have a falling out. So when you have a falling out with someone, it means you've fought, you've argued, and you did not come to a resolution. You did not end the argument happy. You ended the argument still angry with each other, possibly, or you ended the argument and you were not talking. When you have a falling out with someone, you walk away from the conflict and usually you don't talk very much anymore. Or maybe you just, what we say in English, exchange pleasantries every day. You say hi when you see them, but you don't really talk to them anymore. So sometimes people who are dating will have a falling out. Sometimes friends will have a falling out. They'll have an argument about something and then they won't talk anymore. It's always a sad thing. We have a couple different words for arguing and fighting. And one of those words is spat. You can have a spat with someone. This does not have a verb form. You only use it the way I just used it. You can have a spat with your husband or wife. You can have a spat with a friend. When you have a spat with someone, it means that you are definitely not getting along. I'm doing this a lot. I think this means fighting. This is my hand signal for fighting. But when you have a spat with someone, it means that you are having an argument or you are having a fight. A good example sentence would be, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are having a spat right now. They are arguing and fighting about money. They're having a spat. So just another way of describing an argument or two people not getting along. When it gets bigger, when a disagreement between people or a group of people gets bigger, you sometimes use the word feud, that they're having a feud. And the verb form would be feuding. They are feuding with each other. This means that there's not just one disagreement, but there's ongoing disagreement between two people or two groups of people. So maybe two cousins had an argument about one thing, and then for years they have been fighting and arguing about different things. You would say that they are feuding or they're having a feud. Bickering is kind of a small way of a small description of an argument. When people are bickering, they're just kind of saying short little sentences to each other, and if they're really upset. So bickering would sound like this. Let me see. Here's a good one. Sometimes in our house, the milk jug is empty. The pitcher of milk in the fridge is empty, and my kids will start bickering, and because they're trying to figure out who drank the last bag of milk. Milk comes in bags, and we put it in a pitcher. I'll explain all that later. But they'll bicker. They'll be bickering because they want to know, well, who drank the last bit of milk and didn't replace it with a new bag of milk. So bickering is like a small, we would almost say petty argument. When something's petty, it means it's not really important. So bickering. It's not nice to listen to other people bicker. Bickering can be kind of annoying if you're not the one doing the bickering. Here's a good one. So in English, we will sometimes say that two people butt heads. They're going to butt heads if they see each other today. When you butt heads with someone, it means that you both have a very strong opinion about something and you aren't afraid to say it. Sometimes people will work with other people and they butt heads a lot. One person at work thinks a project should be done a certain way and another person thinks it should be done a different way. And whenever they work together, they butt heads. I think this phrase comes from if you watch sheep fighting on a mountainside, they will butt heads. Sometimes animals actually hit their heads against each other. But in English, if you were to describe two people who don't work well together and who often argue, and usually at work, you would say that they butt heads a lot. So quarrel is just another way to describe a small argument between two people. When people are quarreling, it means they don't agree. It means that they are talking to each other, maybe in a mean way. Maybe they're not just quarreling, they're also insulting each other. But when you quarrel with someone, it's just another word for argument. I'm a little surprised as I was putting this lesson together, I was surprised at how many English words we have to talk about fighting and arguing and quarreling and what was the last one? Having a spat or bickering. And these are not rare words that I'm teaching you. These are not rare. These are very, very common. Every single phrase and word I'm teaching you today is very common in Canadian, North American English. So I think you'll learn a lot as we go through this lesson. Sometimes people quarrel in the comments. It doesn't happen very often, but when you read comments under a YouTube video or on Facebook, people might quarrel about something. To throw shade. So this is a relatively new term that we use to talk about when someone famous says something disrespectful about another famous person. You can also use this in everyday life, but most commonly I've seen it used when a celebrity says something mean about another celebrity, or they might even say it in a subtle way where it kind of sounds like an insult. But when you throw shade at someone, it means you're saying mean things about them, and usually publicly, like not directly, but publicly. So we have a phrase in English, to go at each other. When you say that two people go at each other, or in the past tense, they went at each other, it means they started fighting. If I came home from work and said, in class today, two students started to go at each other, it means they started to argue, maybe even yell a little bit. If you were at work and two colleagues started to talk louder and louder and eventually start yelling at each other, when you went home, you would say, oh, Jack and Joe went at each other today. They were really, really annoyed with each other. Oh, and I just thought of another word. We use the word ticked. They were really ticked with each other. So when you say two people go at each other, it simply means that they are arguing, and very strongly arguing. And then, of course, we have the phrase to not get along, the opposite being to get along. Jen and I get along really well. We like each other. There are some people in the world that I don't get along with. It doesn't mean I don't like them. It simply means we don't work well together, or we don't have the same view on things. We don't get along. You are more likely to fight and argue with someone that you do not get along with. If you get along with someone, you'll probably have fewer fights. To debate. So this one again works as a noun or verb. You can have a debate with someone, or you can debate someone. This is a more formal word. We use this to talk about government or situations where people present views in a very structured way. Often before an election, there will be a debate. The candidates will have a chance to debate each other. They will present their opposing views on a subject, and they will have a debate. They will debate each other. And then hopefully they get elected based on how well they did in the debate. So I'm going to talk about two phrases here right now: to have it out for someone and to have it out with someone. So they look the same, but they are different. When you have it out with someone, it means that you had a disagreement, but no one was really talking about it. And then one day you both started talking about it and you both started arguing. So maybe at work, someone has done something for days that annoys you. Maybe someone takes your favorite coffee mug every day, and then eventually you would have it out with them. You would have it out with them. You would go and say, stop taking my mug. Maybe someone is eating your lunch at work. You bring a lunch and put it in the fridge, and someone eats it every day. When you find out who is eating your lunch, you would have it out with them. So basically it means that you have a conflict where you explain why you were upset. When you have it out for someone, let me explain this now. When you have it out for someone, it means you don't like them and you're always finding ways to argue with them. You might have someone you work with or someone in your family, and you think they have it out for you. That means that no matter what you do at work,